Well, the day is finally here. The Schwab US Dividend Equity ETF SCHD finally announced their highly anticipated September Q3 dividend, which a lot of us dividend growth investors were very excited about. And to be completely honest, a lot of us had some pretty high expectations. Now, this is because a lot of the stocks that SCHD, of course, tracks raised their dividends within the last few months, so a lot of us investors that hold on to shares of SCHD were expecting a pretty significant increase, and that, my friends, is exactly what we received. Now stick around because in this video we're going to talk about the most recent dividend increase that SCHD just gave us as of today. And we're going to talk about some of the future dividends we can expect also. So if you hold shares of SCHD, the Schwab US Dividend Equity ETF, make sure to stick around, drop a like down below, and let's get right into it. Real quick, for those that haven't already, make sure to go to the first link in my description and grab my new dividend investing ebook, where I share exactly how I went from $0 invested to now earning over $6,000 on a monthly basis and over $1 million invested in the market. Along with the ebook, you're also going to receive my custom dividend tracker, where you can track your dividend progress on an ongoing basis and reach your dividend investing goals. So make sure to grab yourself a copy of my dividend investing ebook and the new dividend tracker today. It's the first link in my description. Now just to back up for a second, the reason I had to make this video, the reason I'm super excited right now is because I personally do hold somewhere of around 700 shares of the Schwab US Dividend Equity ETF. And if you guys have followed along with my channel for a while, you know exactly all about this. It's pretty much because I never stopped talking about this ETF. I talk about how this ETF is my favorite ETF across the entire market, especially when it comes to dividend growth style ETFs. And I've made it very clear that over the past several years, I've been utilizing a large portion of my overall cash balance, buying almost as many shares as possible of this ETF when it's been cheap, when it's been expensive, and basically every single trading day so far over the past several years. But to get right into the most recent increase, SCHD did just announce this today, which tomorrow actually is the ex-dividend date. The record date is tomorrow. The payable date is September 30th. And the amount the dividend is 75.45 cents, which is a massive increase from the previous Q3 September dividend from last year, which was 65.45 cents. So this is a 10-cent increase, which I think if I did the math right is somewhere around 15% year-over-year increase. Now, even though this was massive, some investors across the community were actually thinking that SCHD was going to pay a little bit higher, somewhere closer to 80 cents. And like I said, this was simply because a lot of the top holdings within SCHD's portfolio, names like Home Depot, names like Verizon, etc., did offer some massive dividend increases over the past several months. But regardless, the 15% year-over-year increase compared to the previous September dividend of around 65.5 cents is a massive increase. Now, what I mean by that is that if you hold shares of SCHD right now, and if you have held shares of SCHD over the past 4 quarters, you've received around $2.90 some odd cents, which is giving you a nice trailing 12-month dividend yield. Now, my personal opinion, I'm very happy with this dividend increase. Of course, with everything that's been going on in the markets, it's sort of hard to know at this point if these dividend growth style ETFs that do have such a history of raising their dividends a steady 8%, 11%, even 15% at times, it's hard to know if they're going to be able to keep doing this over time. And this is even with SCHD's history. You can see back over the past several years, there have been steady increases across the board, basically every single payout quarter after quarter. Now, pardon the fact that this image is a little bit blurry, but I actually did build out a graph of SCHD's previous historical dividends in the blue and the future dividends in the orange or the yellow, whatever you want to call it. It's not super important exactly all the nitty gritty in here, but what I wanted to really show you guys, especially if you are looking to hold on to something like this long term, which I personally am. Like I said, I have around 700 shares. I'm still buying more shares almost every single trading day, but that's just my trading strategy. But what I wanted to show you guys on this graph that I made is that it seems like by 2028, by 2029, which is honestly not even all that far away, relatively speaking, SCHD, based off of the previous dividend payouts, is probably most likely going to be paying us over $1 per share per quarter pretty consistently. And what's even crazier is that if we look out around 10 years from now, by 2034, 2035, we're talking almost $1.30, $1.40 per share per quarter. Now, why is this important? Why is this even something worth looking into? Well, simply because I just wanted to reiterate the idea that buying into high quality dividend growth style stocks or ETFs, it of course does not have to be SCHD. There's plenty of other high quality ETFs across the market that also offer things similar to this. But the idea is that if you buy into something today, and at least historically speaking, if it's paid more and more cash flow over time, which like for example, today we just saw in real time that SCHD raised their dividend 15% Year over year, talking about Q3, that is a substantial amount of increase, especially when you get to the point to where you have 10, 20, 100, 1,000, 10,000 shares of a stock or an ETF long term. And of course, it depends on what your income goals are long term, but something like this, for me specifically, having 700 shares of, is going to help me substantially if and when I find myself in a place where I want to use dividends to cover things like my bills, cover things like vacations, life expenses, or to help out family and friends. And for that reason, along with many others, I'm super excited to say that this ETF is becoming a larger foundational position in my long-term portfolio. Even though it's not offering the highest yield across the board, of course, I could just sell SCHD, sell off my 700 shares, and buy something that offers a much higher yield. But with the amount of capital appreciation potential, and along with that, the amount of dividend growth that we've seen over time, and that I've even seen over the past several years of holding on to this ETF, I'm super bullish on it, and I do think this ETF, because of the underlying methodology, is going to keep paying us more and more in dividends long term. So now that we talked about the most recent dividend payout that SCHD just announced, I lastly, most importantly, want to hear from you guys down below. What's your honest thoughts on the 75.45 cent total distribution that SCHD just announced? Is this higher than you thought, lower than you thought? Let me know down below in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to please drop a like and subscribe for more future content like this. Thanks as always for stopping by, and if you are interested in investing, make sure to check out these recent videos I posted right here.